Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel for a rather special video. Today I'm joined by Miles Taylor, aka Cyberleader1010, and we're doing a collaboration video about an idea that I've had in my mind for some time now, and I thought I'd get Miles on board because he has the advantage of being at the same school as me, in the same English class as me, so it's going to help provide a bit of insight. What I'm talking about is basically in English at school, A-level English, one of the papers is themed around America, 1880 to 1940, and the literature and context of that time, and also from America's inception back in the 16th century or whatever, up to that point. And there are, of course, many Doctor Who stories set in this period, so I thought it would be good to watch those stories and look out for the key features of the American context, identify them in those stories, and just see what happens, really. You know, would tie into revision well, which is obviously going on at this point.
So much revision.
Yes,
so much
absolutely.
Revision.
So yeah, we're going to try and evaluate how well these stories reflect America 1880 to 1940 based on the texts we've studied, which are The Great Gatsby and The Grapes of Wrath, and also just look for any American features in them and have a chat about it. Yeah. I'll just briefly run through, before we start, some of the key American concepts that we've had to learn about.
This is our infamous blue sheet. Our English teacher loves this.
She loves it. Prints off about 100 copies.
Yeah.
Should we maybe alternate down here?
Yeah, go on.
So I'll start off. So the first one is Journeys and Migration.
Yep, and then we've got Frontiers and the Pioneer Spirit.
The American Dream of bettering yourself to be successful.
The American Hero and Anti-Hero.
America as a land of migrants.
America's history, so slavery and segregation, that sort of thing, Civil War kind of period.
North and South, and the idea that American identity is based on land, where you are, North, South, East, West.
Class and money, old and new.
The myth of America's Wild West and mythologizing America.
The individual and society, there's a lot about that, and very much a group and the individual sort of thing.
Democracy, capitalism, and free speech.
America versus Europe and its position in the wider world.
American romanticism.
And finally, America and England.
So, without further ado, let's get into the first episode set... Well, it's not actually set in this period, it's just before. It's set in 1870. But for all intents and purposes, it is set in this period, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Do you want to go with this one?
Yeah, so that is a town called Mercy, the earliest in terms of the times that the American stories are set. I watched this one and I sort of thought there's not an awful lot of American lit kind of ideas in there. We're going to sound so much like English students in this video.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. It's quite similar to the Gunfighters, which we'll be talking about a bit later on. But yeah, I think the main thing is it's that idea of the mythologized America. It's the Wild West, and it's that
definitely
that sort of
thing. Cowboys, Stetsons, riding horses, and all those lovely panoramic wide shots of the landscape as well, which is actually Spain, but
yeah. And if you think about it, and how Series 7 Part 1 was, the idea was it's a blockbuster a week, so you get an idea of it is like an American movie, isn't it, in terms of...
Yeah, it is, very much, yeah. I got from it as well, I mean, the episode is titled A Town Called Mercy, which kind of links into the idea that place is important in America in terms of identity. And it's very much a kind of tight-knit community, like those early American communities that were set up, where there's a very clear idea of justice and who's in and out, who's part of the community, who's not part of the community, and there's that line, I think Isaac says it or someone like that, America is the land of second chances.
I got that as well.
That's the one.
That sums it up, doesn't it? It really does. And there's, in our novels that we're studying, The Great Gatsby and Grapes of Wrath, that is very much a theme that runs throughout. It's particularly in The Great Gatsby.
Yes.
The idea of second chances and reinventing yourself as well.
Freedom.
Yeah. Because that's the thing of what's his name? Carla. Is it Carla Jex?
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes.
That is his... When we meet him, he's turned his life around in a sense, because he's gone from being this big not mass murderer, but the scientist, to someone who's helping this town and curing cholera and things like that. So that's a very similar sort of thing to Gatsby in The Great Gatsby, who is reinventing himself and that's
because of course there's the melting point thing, a melting pot.
Yes,
say melting point. Yeah. How America is a land founded on on people coming into it from other places as well. So yeah, that's about it for that one, I think. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think in terms of the themes, there's not as many for Town Called Mercy as there are for other episodes, but yeah.
Then moving on now to the Gunfighters, which I think was set in 1881. I got that from online. And I hadn't seen this one before. You had, hadn't you?
Yes,
yeah.
I love it,
Yeah, I loved it as well. But to start with, I mean, I thought it was a bit more like Twelfth Night.
Yeah, it is.
Than an American text. Twelfth Night's another one we studied because of all the confusion and stuff. But again, there is that element of mythologizing the West. There was one line that I got from Doc Holliday, that's her name, isn't it?
Yeah.
The day I can't walk down Main Street in any city in the West on account it ain't safe, then I'll be dead. And again, that's the idea of freedom, I guess, isn't it? But then after that, it just goes into, well, the gunfighting stuff and the joking around.
Yeah, I mean, because it is Doctor Who's first American tale, isn't it?
It's good to point out.
And in a way, particularly because of its being in the 60s, it's probably one of its most ambitious of the American tales, because... I mean, imagine in the 60s creating the Wild West in a studio in Ealing, and it's really, it's quite out there, even more than some of their space stories, because creating that, and I said to you, didn't I, earlier, that it's very much like an old American black and white movie.
Absolutely.
When the Doctor's not in it, I forgot I was watching Doctor Who.
To think that was on a Saturday tea time, it just... turning the telly on and you get that. It's quite
particularly the film sequences when you get the gunfights, and it is really great. The accents are always spot on. There's I forgot the band of brothers, what they called.
Clanton. Is it
Clanton? Yeah, Clanton brothers. They're not great. Most of the characters are pretty good at the accents though, but obviously because this was a 60s era, the RP kind of tone, most of them were great. But I thought, like you said about Doc Holliday, him turning his life around from gunfighter to a dentist and setting his new shop
yeah,
up.
that's quite like Carla, what's his name, isn't it?
Yeah, it's similar sort of thing. And
the
idea of, in The Great Gatsby, there's a character called Wilson who has his own little shop of cars bought and sold, and it's a similar sort of thing of having the shop set up and this idea of recreating yourself. And then just one little final point I remember, at the end of the story, it may not have any connection to the American tale whatsoever, but the Doctor says a line, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's something sort of like, when they've landed on this new planet for the new adventure, he says something like, out there is something about a new prosperous world, and let's go out and search. And that, for me, is very much like the pioneers and the frontier sort of thing. So the Doctor...
I suppose the very idea of the Doctor, isn't it?
Yeah, he is that the pioneer, and just as those early Americans who were coming over the shores and the frontier sort of thing. And in fact, the whole of Doctor Who kind of capitalises on that. So that's the final point I got on that. But Gunfights is great.
And then this is a sneaky one here. It's not a TV story, but we remembered that there is an episode from the first Doctor Adventures, Big Finish stories that were released just a few months ago now, called The Great White Hurricane. And that story is set in New York, 1888. There's a blizzard or something, a famous
it's a famous
hurricane,
kind of thing. Yeah, and it was my favourite story of the box set. What about you?
I don't know. I think I prefer the other one.
Really?
They were both very good, though,
I think it's just because I loved the era. And I mean... You'll know this as well. Guys and Dolls is a musical set in this sort of period, if I'm right.
Gangster
thinking.
kind of.
It is
thing,
that sort of thing, and because of I loved that, we both of us worked on a production of that ages ago in the lighting side of things, and because of my love for that and that period, for some reason that audio just capitalised on that, and I love that kind of America of in the streets, and that more than anything is I think a story that's set. It's a story set in a city as opposed to out in the Wild West, which we don't really get in the TV stories other than Daleks.
No, not as much, is there? No.
So I thought that was quite nice, and that's probably why I liked it so much, because it is a period of history I'm fond of, and and place. So yeah.
Yeah. In terms of the ideas as well, I mean, I've not listened to it since December or whenever, but there's that thing I remember from it about how it's all about like the human spirit, and that's kind of like the Grapes of Wrath in a way, isn't it? And, mankind is faced with a disaster, but they prosper together. And they pull together. They get the job done, and then there's that thing with a chat with a ladder, isn't there? And he's like, it's like small scale capitalism.
It is, isn't it? And it's that idea of there's an accident, a big thing, and then the group comes together, and Ian and Barbara helping out the I don't know what the name of the character is, but that woman whose child has been taken away. Yeah, it is the Grapes of Wrath kind of thing of the group coming together and having strength over the individual. So. So yeah, and I love that story. I need to listen to it again, but it's a very good one. So following on from that audio story, you've got Daleks in Manhattan. Probably, I think one of the ones that when I think of an American Doctor Who story, I think this is the one I think of straight away. I mean, from the off, the episode opens after the title sequence. The Doctor and Martha step out, and then you get that sting from a classic American tune, Rhapsody in Blue. And it just sort of flares up. You see the Statue of Liberty. The Doctor says that great line of "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses,"
absolutely.
Which is it's American in a nutshell. Our teacher loves that line.
That bit is basically like when they're walking into Hooverville as well. It's basically a mini lesson, isn't it? About context.
Yeah, well, there's a bit when they're walking through the park, and they say that thing about
up till then, New York was a boom town.
Yes,
and the Wall Street crash and all that kind of stuff. Huddled masses. And all the unemployed people in Hooverville as well. And it's quite political, like Steinbeck, isn't it, I suppose, in a way?
It is,
like
it really is. And I was sort of thinking about this, and I was like, which one does it remind me more of the two books we're studying? When we're in Hooverville, I think, Grapes of Wrath, definitely. It's the poor in the group, but then Solomon says something about, we need to stand together, and it's that idea of group.
The loaf of bread, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's very much like Grapes of Wrath.
There's even a scene in Grapes of Wrath with a loaf of bread.
There is. I was reading that earlier.
So and but then also I go up to the work towers and see Mr. Diagoras, and I think this is Great Gatsby. So I wasn't sure at times. But definitely that idea of Solomon, who's a great character. There's a character in the Grapes of Wrath called Casey who basically sacrifices himself for the good of the group, and that is exactly what Solomon does. He sacrifices himself for what he believes in, and that almost passes on to Frank,
passing on
a bit of a Tom.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that idea of leading a political movement, sort of, an uprising. And as you say, it's urban. It's quite a lot like Gatsby. There's the romance element, I suppose, of like Tallulah and Laszlo and stuff.
I thought Tallulah was a bit of a daisy. She's like the idea of she says something, and I can't remember what the line is, but it's something like you've got to keep on working even when your heart breaks. You got to keep going because that's when that's the only way you can survive, and that's very much the American
absolutely
idea,
and the whole story as well is a big kind of rich poor divide thing, like exploiting the poor. You have like you say Diagros, he's like the faceless bosses in Grapes of Wrath, isn't he?
And that idea of the exploitation, in a way, the Daleks are the big bosses, aren't they? The Daleks are like the banks and the big corporations. Diagros is just like the one tier down, and then you've got the workforce. So
well, I was thinking as well that the Daleks would be quite suited to the American dream because they're ruthless, they're very individual, determined, and they exploit other people. So they're good, aren't they?
And speaking of the American dream, Mr. Diagoras kind of embodies that. There's a line which I wrote down here. Mr. Solomon says that he started out as a foreman, and now it seems he's running half of Manhattan. So it's that idea of he's found his work and he's worked hard. And that Dalek says you have a rare ambition. That's that's exactly the American dream. It's the idea of powering through, working hard to become the best you can be. And he says that one day he's going to run this city, and that is the American dream.
Absolutely, And there's a Solomon line, I think I've put here Solomon's the Daleks, but just to finish this section, where he says something about hope for building a better tomorrow, and that's it, isn't it?
That's
better.
The pioneers and the idea that they came with a hope for better, and that's it in a nutshell. Yeah.
Right. So as far as Doctor Who America goes, that's nearly everything in this period, apart from The Angels Take Manhattan, which is set in 1938. But I don't know about you, but there's nothing in there. Really,
and I guess that's not it's not the setting's not the focus really.
It's not.
They
It's
could have
more
put it
about
anywhere.
Rory and Amy.
I think it's literally so Moffat could have done the Statue of Liberty as the
yeah.
angel. But I mean, yeah, there's nothing apart from the accents. There's nothing really American about it.
It's funny as well how I suppose Daleks in Manhattan, that's the most American story, but by the end of it was recorded in America. It was just the kind of landscape bits, wasn't it, really?
Shots, yeah.
And also a thought I had about Angels as well is it's interesting in Series 7 Part 1 how there are 2 American stories, which I suppose...
it's interesting, like, the weighting to that, because, like, we hadn't had an American story since Series 3, and suddenly we get to Series 7 and you get 2 practically back-to-back. And, and you sort of think as well, like saying that about Angels Take Manhattan, that it didn't utilise the setting. You do sort of wonder whether these themes that we've come up with from the episode, whether that was intentional or not. Because I don't know whether Helen Rayner wrote Daleks in Manhattan and she'd read Great Gatsby and thought, oh yeah, let's put the American Dream in there.
if they studied it at A-level and just thought, let's pick it out, and perhaps. I don't know.
You do wonder, and whether any of them were in these links were intentional. But yeah, it is interesting drawing them. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just that setting of America. You naturally just get those themes from it anyway.
And I suppose there's something about those stories, just naturally, fundamentally, that you can pick out these things because they're so integral to America at the time, I guess, aren't they?
Yeah, because I really don't think that there's any other Doctor Who stories who would have pulled them themes from. I think that it is very much because of the setting of America. I don't think there's any others that I would pull the American Dream or the Rich and the Poor Divide. Possibly, I mean, there's probably some 70s stories which are about, the Rich and the Poor Divide, but that's more about the British kind of Rich Poor Divide, not so much the American stuff. But yeah, it is interesting to think, did they write the episode with that in mind, or did it just happen because it's America? Who knows? So
I guess that just about does it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon for some more new Doctor Who themed videos on this channel. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
Bye for now, guys.